Welcome to Shadow Work Sessions. I'm glad you found this. Before we do anything else, pause whatever else is going on and decide to be here, fully here. Today we're not going to talk about the shadow. We're actually going to meet it. Together. Step by step. All I need from you right now is a journal, or even just a loose piece of paper, something to write with, and a few minutes where you won't be interrupted. If you can, find a comfortable position. Seated works best for this one, since we'll be writing. And if it feels right, take one slow breath in through your nose and let it go. There's no wrong way to do this. Whatever comes up for you today is exactly right. Let me give you just enough background to make this session useful. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who spent his life mapping the inner world, described the shadow as the part of yourself that you've pushed out of conscious awareness. Not because you're damaged, not because those parts are evil, but because at some point, usually early on, certain emotions, desires, or ways of being felt unsafe to express. Maybe anger wasn't allowed in your home. Maybe showing vulnerability got you hurt or ignored. Maybe you were told, through words, or just through what happened, that you were too much, or not enough, or that some part of you needed to be hidden to keep the peace, to stay loved, to stay safe. And so those parts went underground. Jung used the word shadow deliberately, because it doesn't disappear. It just moves out of direct sight. And from there, it shapes everything. It shows up in your triggers. The people who irritate you in ways you can't quite articulate. It shows up in the patterns you keep repeating even when you consciously want to stop. It shows up in the moments of self-sabotage, the bursts of emotion that feel disproportionate, the chronic sense that something is missing. Shadow work is the process of turning toward those buried parts, not to judge them, not to perform some dramatic confrontation, but simply to look, with curiosity, with a willingness to understand what they've been carrying. This session is educational, not therapy. If what comes up today feels overwhelming, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional. What we're doing here is the beginning of that inner conversation, not a substitute for real support. With that said, let's begin. I want you to think of someone who genuinely irritates you. It could be someone in your life right now, a co-worker, a family member, a friend. It could be someone from the past. It could even be a public figure, someone you've never met but who gets under your skin. You don't need to justify the feeling. It doesn't have to be rational or fair. Just let someone come to mind. Got 'em? Good. Write their name, or their initials if you prefer, at the top of your page. Now, underneath that name, write down 3 to 5 specific qualities about this person that bother you the most. Be honest. No one is going to read this but you. Try to be specific rather than general. Not just they're annoying, but what specifically? Are they arrogant, needy, dishonest, controlling, overly emotional? Do they make everything about themselves? Do they never take responsibility? Write whatever is true for you. Good. Now look at your list. Here's the part that might feel a little uncomfortable, and I want to offer it gently, not as a verdict, but as a question worth sitting with. Jung observed that the qualities that provoke the strongest reactions in us, especially irritation, contempt, or moral outrage, are often qualities that live in our own shadow. Not necessarily that you are those things, but that some version of those qualities, repressed, denied, unexpressed, is alive in you. Maybe you once expressed that quality and were punished for it, so you buried it. Maybe you've spent enormous energy making sure you're never like that, and the effort is exhausting you. You might feel resistance to this. That's completely normal. Resistance is actually a sign that we're near something real. I'm not asking you to accept this as absolute truth. Just hold it as a possibility. Take one quality from your list, whichever feels the most charged, the one that bothers you the most, and write this sentence, filling in the blank. A part of me might also be this quality, and that's okay. Notice what happens in your body when you write that. You might feel a flash of resistance or irritation, or the urge to argue with it. You might feel an unexpected flicker of recognition. You might feel nothing yet. Whatever came up is perfect. Let's go a little deeper. Cast your mind back to your childhood and see if you can find a memory of a time when you expressed one of these qualities or a strong emotion and it didn't go well. A time when you were, directly or indirectly, told to be different than you were. Maybe you were called too sensitive, too angry, too loud, too intense, too proud. Maybe you were shamed for wanting too much, or criticized for not wanting enough. If nothing specific comes to mind, that's okay. Work with a general sense, a felt memory of certain parts of you not being welcome. Write a few sentences about what you remember, or what you sense. Even if it's just a feeling rather than a clear image. Now sit with this question. In that moment, what did you decide about yourself? Not what was objectively true, but what did the child version of you conclude in order to make sense of what happened? Maybe you decided, I'm too much. Maybe my feelings aren't safe. Maybe I need to be different to be loved. Maybe that part of me needs to stay hidden. Write it down if you can. That decision, however small it might seem, that's a shadow seed. That's where some of your buried material began. Take a breath. We're going to close the exercise with something simple and gentle. I want you to imagine, just as a thought experiment, no pressure, that the part of you that went underground has been waiting. Not to punish you, not because it's dangerous, simply because it has something it's been trying to show you for a very long time. If that buried part could speak to you right now, just one sentence, what might it say? Don't think too hard. Don't edit. Write whatever comes, even if it surprises you, even if it doesn't make sense yet. Whatever came up, even if it was silence, even if it was I don't know, that is your starting point. That is where your shadow work begins. Take a moment to look back at what you've written. You might notice a thread, a connection between the quality that bothers you in that other person, the early memory, and what that buried part just said. You might see a pattern forming, or you might not see it yet. Integration isn't instant, and that's completely fine. The unconscious tends to work slowly, often overnight. What I want you to understand is this. The fact that you sat with this, that you turned toward these parts of yourself, instead of away from them. That is the work. Jung called the larger journey individuation, the lifelong process of becoming whole. Not perfect, not healed in some finalized way, meaning nothing is left out, nothing has to hide anymore. You don't integrate the shadow by eliminating it. You integrate it by acknowledging it, by saying, "This is also me, and I'm willing to understand it." Before your next session, here's a simple practice to carry with you. When you notice a strong emotional reaction, irritation, envy, shame, sudden sadness, pause for just a moment and ask yourself, what might this be showing me about my shadow? Just the question. You don't need the answer immediately. Thank you for being here for this first session. That took real honesty, and I want you to acknowledge yourself for it. A reminder that this is educational content, not therapy. If what surfaced today felt significant, or if you're moving through deep trauma, please consider working with a licensed therapist alongside this practice. You deserve real, personal support. The natural next session from here is our work on the inner critic. Because whatever you discovered today, that voice will be the one commenting on it most loudly. That session is already waiting for you on this channel. If this resonated with you, subscribing means a new guided session is here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Until next time, keep going gently.